this is Christina Barr, and you guys are watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and there's a terrible story about Hershel Walker that's hitting the campaign trail, and we got to talk about it, at least got to mention it. Also, Biden has praised Ron DeSantis for his hurricane relief effort, and people are going gaga because they see DeSantis behind the presidential seal, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good to a lot of people. Also, you guys know that Stacey Abrams denied ever denying the results of the Georgia election. And I said, there's plenty of clips. The RNC has pieced them together. So I decided that I would show you guys that because I was like, somebody will do it. I didn't have the time, but I'm like, somebody out there will do it. So we shall see. Also, really weird thing that Jake Prey said something about Minneapolis that is so bizarre that I want to share with you guys. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content that I have on my website. One thing that I just blasted and has at the front of the page now is that proposal Prop 3 that's going on in Michigan. That's right on the front of my webpage on blacktnews.com. It's also plastered on the top of my Facebook and my YouTube, not my YouTube, but my Facebook and my Twitter, so that you guys can share that stuff around. I appreciate you guys sharing that stuff around. Share different articles as well. Please drop your email, so if we email you that you'll get that stuff. Which, by the way, Ronna McDaniel, my former boss when I worked at the Michigan Republican Party, but she's the chair of the RNC now, she said on Fox News the other day that Google is suppressing the emails from the RNC, whether like their get out the vote effort emails or fundraiser appeals. And that is so unethical if that's legit. That's so unethical. I don't know if it's illegal, but it's bad. And with all these people being like mass canceled, like Andrew Tate and some other folks, like even Google has like gotten rid of their emails. I think it goes really too far when you have your email provider that's like, nah, we want to cut you off right at your knees. I think we're living in some dark times. Got to keep building that parallel economy. But Google is it's so huge. It's so huge that just disenfranchises a crap ton of people. It's too bad that business can't just be business, and people with a lot of power and influence really like to put their thumb on the scale and tip things in their favor. But just thought I would mention that. Please go check out different merch that we have at Black Tea News. Maybe you guys will find something you like the Pro-Choice Men Are Sus shirt. Sus is, suspect, because I'm not too fond of pro-choice men. I also got the pumpkin spice season. You guys can check that out. Still pumpkin spice. We also got different mugs you guys can get in the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For, and one more, defeat Joe Biden, denounce white supremacy, with a list of some of his race stuff on the back. If you would like to support Black Tea News, please go to blackteenews.com/donate. I appreciate everything that you guys do, whether it's a small donation of $10 or $20, or you can do more if it's $50, $100. Thank you so much. It costs to stream, it costs to run my website, it costs to travel. Gosh, you guys know it costs to travel. Gas is so high right now, and it jumped back up. It's like at about $4.50 in some areas. Some places like $4.20, $4.29, but like I'm seeing $4.50. I'm like, but if you can support, I do appreciate if you can, as we just try to inform people about what's going on in the world. Information really is our weapon, and that's why people want to shift stories in different directions, hide different things. I think this topic today is just me just trying to be honest, even though it doesn't make my side look very good. but it's worth talking about, and I'll share my feelings. And ultimately, I don't live in Georgia, but you folks will have to decide what you want to do. But I can tell you why I think you should vote a particular way, and we'll get to that in a moment. I also want to thank Brian and Michigan Pack. I'm in the studio today. If I say something today that triggers you, they don't care. I don't care. It does not work like that. I'm just here using the space, and I do very much appreciate them. Okay. First things first, we're going to jump into the big story of the day. I don't have a meme. I have a tweet that I would like to share from Stephen Miller. If you did not hear, and if you're from Georgia, you've definitely heard this. Hershel Walker has been accused of paying for a girlfriend's abortion about 13 years ago. Would have been, yeah, about 13 years ago. And he's denying it. There's some evidence. I don't know if it's foolproof evidence. It doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. I also don't believe the media too much, but it doesn't look great on his part. I'll say that. But he did deny it. And his son apparently went ape on him for denying it as well. Though they do seem to at least have a good relationship besides that. He just let a lot of drama spill, a lot of tea spill. But this is the tweet. Does Hershel Walker's past make him suitable for the U.S. Senate? Probably not. It does, however, qualify him to be a senior legal analyst for CNN. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Tubin, who's no longer with CNN, he got the boot, I'm assuming because of the changes that came in as Discovery bought it. But he also was temporarily gone because he pleasured himself on a Zoom call. Then they invited him back. But in the day, he did try to get I think he was dating a co-worker's daughter and try to get her to have an abortion. So that's the reference to that tweet. It's a good tweet, but on a more serious note, the allegation is that Hershel Walker paid for his girlfriend's abortion. Now, of course, if you're on the left, you can be annoyed at the hypocrisy, but if you're for abortion, what he did isn't immoral because you're for abortion anytime, any place, anywhere. Apparently, if you're voting for Warnock, that's what he's for, and to make you pay for it. So ultimately, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Your choices are, assuming the story is true, is for a guy who reimbursed his girlfriend for an abortion 13 years ago, or a man who wants everyone to pay for every abortion now. Those are the choices. So, as Dana Lash said, she's not willing to make other babies pay for what Hershel Walker did. If I was in Georgia and there was a primary, obviously people had primaries, she just would not have been my pick. Apparently his son in his Twitter rant said that a lot of his family told him not to run because he was just wild out back in the day. Now, people can change. People have different morals and values as they grow up. You know, he's a football player, celebrity. It's not good to do that kind of stuff. There's a lot, I'm not particularly just abortion, but just like wilding out, sleeping with different girls, etc. I personally think that's just gross in general. I'm a very prude person. I'm very much a one man, one woman, get married, have your kids, and consummate the marriage. I mean, you consummate the marriage and then you have your kids and etc. and you don't sleep around. That's where I'm at. So a lot of people who are talking about the immorality of Hershel Walker probably don't personally feel that it's actually immoral. I feel that this is all actually deeply immoral from a personal standpoint. Okay. And what he did was super immoral. Assuming that it's true. Now he denied it. He went on Sean Hannity and Sean Hannity pressed him and he said it's a flat out lie. And he claimed that he didn't know the woman who they were talking about. The Daily Beast like broke the article, and this is like, their picture from the article and stuff. But they broke the article, and Hannity pressed him, and he said they have, apparently she paid $575 for an abortion, and she had, I guess, showed Daily Beast the receipt or slip for or whatever, and he gave her a check for $700 as reimbursement for it, and a side of a get well card, and that's what his handwriting and stuff apparently looks like. And it was just, there was like, I hope you feel better or whatever. Gosh, that is so weird. That's such a weird thing to to write, if that's what it's for. Now he's trying to say that he gives money to a lot of people, and he was given a lot of cards to a lot of folks, and he doesn't know this woman, etc. It's not like that's not plausible, I guess. I guess, but it'd be a heck of a thing to lie about, and his lawyers and his team to lie about it. If they're just trying to cover their tracks, it would be far more beneficial to just come out, in my opinion, to tell the truth and just be like, yeah, I didn't value, he wasn't married at the time, just say I didn't value myself and my family and life as much as I should have in the past. Hopefully be remorseful about it, that you are remorseful, and say, I don't want to continue a cycle of violence for children, and I want to save as many lives as possible to make up for the sins of my past at the very least, but truly, because it is a human rights violation. That should be the route to go. Like when Trump did that Hollywood Access tape, which he was dead to rights. I mean, it was on tape. We all saw with the stuff what he was saying, right? He did to come out strong and be like, it was locker room talk. I apologize. Even though he said it was locker room talk, he said, I apologize. Nobody should be talking like that, etc. Blah blah blah. And then he's just like, move forward. And I remember when that dropped, and it was so heavy. It was like, dude, it was over. And unless, my feeling was, and this was right before the second debate, and I'm like, if he doesn't come out in the second debate and just like crush it, he's done. It's over. And then he came like a killer. He was ready to go. And he had the Bill Clinton's, and they're like, well, they dropped all this stuff. I'm coming for Bill. And he brought in like Bill Clinton's survivors. So he came, that was that the you be in jail night when he said that Hillary Clinton, he just came ready to rumble, and it breathed some life back into the campaign. So but he just tackled it head on, took some accountability, and went with it. And again, it was on video. There was no way to say what didn't happen. So he apologized and moved forward. If it's again, it's not inconceivable that he would give a check to someone else and a card, because it's not get well suit. That's so gross if that's true, if that's actually what it's for, just to put it like that, and just no moral consideration for the child. Gosh, I hate that. But it's not inconceivable that it could have been for something else, I guess. So you could give him the benefit of the doubt. My my personal instinct, I'm just like, it looks bad for him, and to lie about it, I guess that's the most puzzling thing at this point, that makes me think that there's a chance that it's not true, because it's so ridiculous to lie at this point. It would be better to just take accountability. Because if it just keeps continuously get caught up in the facts of the story, it would just be worse. There are people who have aborted their children mothers and fathers who have aborted their children and turned around and decided to be pro-life. That is not rare on the pro-life side. Some of the fiercest pro-life people have went ahead and said that they had an abortion and they regretted it. So I don't, if it's true and they're lying about it, I don't see the wisdom in it, and continuing the lie and saying, I don't even know who they're talking about. And it is anonymous. They're keeping her name private for privacy's sake, but that doesn't mean that she won't come out. That doesn't mean that she won't come out and have a picture or something. But it's not totally inconceivable that this could be a conjured story. I guess the craziest stuff they said about Kavanaugh, the craziest stuff, the going all the way back to Clarence Thomas. It's not but the far crazy stuff was surrounding Kavanaugh and the rape brigades or lines and whatever. I mean, they just went full on nutso with some of that stuff that went out. So it's not inconceivable that someone would go that far. People go along with it. Daily Beast said that they corroborated the story. They talked to some friends that knew around that time. So, and I don't know if they wouldn't release like photos if they want to if they had some because they want to protect their identity. But there's always the risk that it's not true. Now, it definitely doesn't look good anyway with his son believing it, I guess, to a point. Or I don't know particularly about that, but he went off on his dad. And I actually thought this wasn't real. It went viral, but I'm like, gosh, is this like, oh gosh, it looks real. With his son, Hershel Walker's son lashes out after the abortion revelation. Christian Walker, he said every family member of Hershel Walker asked him not to run for office because we all knew some of his past, every single one. He said he decided to give us the middle finger and air out all this dirty laundry in public while simultaneously lying about it. I'm done. Said, I know my mom and I would really appreciate if my father, Hershel Walker, stopped lying and making a mockery of us. You're not a family man when you left us to bang a bunch of women, threatened to kill us. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. And had us move over 6 times in 6 months running from your violence. So that contradicts certainly with some other stuff that he said about his dad in the past. And Hershel just like replied, I love you. So that's what's out there. That's what's out there. So some people are like, just stop talking about it. Just stop talking about this allegation. Republicans are doing themselves no favor all talking about it. You guys know that I do cover the news, and it's a pretty big story, but Warnock also has allegations from his ex-wife of like violence. So this is a pretty wild story. Now, obviously it's an October surprise. It's out not because it's going to sway any Democrats to or independents, really, maybe independents, who knows, to not vote for Walker. They're trying to depress the Republican turnout. That and Republican turnout being depressed is how the runoff, basically failed anyway. So that's the goal here. It looks like Hershel is taking the lead and is at this point going to win this thing, especially as Kemp is way ahead of Abrams. So they need something that's really going to make the base not go out and vote for Hershel Walker. So they're slinging some mud. This is some heavy mud, man. Heavy mud. I think Dana, what she said about not willing to make other babies pay for what he did 13 years ago, rings true. Again, your choices are a man who allegedly, and it is allegedly reimburse his girlfriend to pay for her abortion versus someone who wants to repeal the Hyde Amendment, who's tried and who believes in like abortion on demand up until like these Democrats are really going up to 9 months. They're like, no one would do that. Like women do have very late term abortions. I did a video and I showed a picture of baby boy A from the Gosnell case. He was aborted at 32 weeks. You can say, well, they only do that for medical reasons. That's not true. It's not true. Some women, they don't know that they're pregnant till very late. There was one study, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it looks at women. The Washington Post did a story about it. But it looked at women who have late term abortions, and they recommend it like, hey, women need to have late term abortions because of situations that might arise. Like them not realizing that they were pregnant, that they didn't have the finances before to get it. Like there was one girl who they didn't have really the money to do it. And then they kind of were like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and I guess we're just gonna have the baby. And then they got like a bonus or something with their job. And so they went ahead and took care of it, I guess. So there it's not just for like medical reasons. It's really not the case. And if it were for medical reasons, if you have a medical emergency and it's pretty late in the pregnancy, I mean, the doctors would induce it because it's the fastest way to save her life. Because it takes several days to prepare your body to have an abortion that late. So I'm not saying I guess it's impossible, but it's not likely. Especially if it's super late. So besides, if you say it's a woman's choice, it's a woman's choice. If you don't, and these people don't believe in that, in having restrictions, really. They always say it's a woman's choice. So if a woman decides to, you can say, well, no woman would do that, but that's what you're signing on to, nevertheless. Her being able to do it at 9 months. If no one does it at 9 months, then why not restrict it? Why not restrict it at like 20 weeks or something? Why not restrict it? Why not restrict it at viability is a stupid line. Why not restrict it at 20 weeks? Except for like life of the mother. Why not do that? Because at like 21, even at 21, they can try to save the baby's life. Right? So why not restrict it at 20 weeks at the very least? Because they don't want to, because they think it's more up to 9 months. So those are your options. And Warnock, there was someone the other day was a Democrat, and they're like, these are Christians in name only if they don't vote for Warnock because he's a pastor. I'm like, just because you stand in front of a pulpit and somebody ordained you doesn't mean that you are anything other than a heretic. I don't love that word, but maybe the Catholics are like, yes, he's a heretic. He preaches a lot of like the liberation stuff, theology. I don't know if that's his doctrine, but he's very radical going around using his authority as a pastor, saying he's a pro-choice pastor, as if there's some kind of correlation, or it somehow makes abortion okay because he's a pastor. That's gross. That's gross. So he's pushed CRT and other things, and he's just going to sign on to other radical stuff that the Democrats want. So if you wanted to stop them from having the majority, I'd advise you still to go ahead and vote for Hershel Walker. But he wasn't a good choice in the primary, and he was. I mean, I know Trump pushed him to do it, but I didn't think he was going to be a good choice. But that's what you guys picked. So you got the lesser of two evils here, but again, it's alleged. It's alleged, but it's allegedly did this versus someone who wants you to participate in the whole ceremony of it with your taxpayer dollars. They want you to shut up and affirm these women, and even going after pregnancy crisis centers is something that Democrats are doing. They don't want less babies. They don't want less babies to be aborted. It's a big industry for them, and they're also going to be pushing the gender identity stuff and hacking up kids in that sort of way, and puberty blockers and all that other stuff. So You can make your choice. You can make your decision. Give my 2 cents. Warnock is a no. That's my 2 cents. But man, this is some drama. That was quite the October surprise. I hope they got one in return. But just one more time, Warnock is also has been accused of some domestic violence. So this is an unfortunate matchup. But don't let the last thing I'll say to move on. Donald Trump, he made deals he went around courting the Christian vote, because I mean you need that, I guess, especially on the right. And they knew that they would. The media kept uplifting him and giving him all this free airtime because they thought like we have all this stuff that we can just dump on Trump and get rid of him. That was their goal. And they wanted to punk people out of voting for him, especially like when the stuff like the Hollywood tape dropped, and there'd be people who are atheists or people who just hating Christians who would come at people who are voting for Trump and be like, you guys aren't really Christian, you aren't blah, 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 etc. And I'm like, but I see how you guys hate Mike Pence's guts. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Mike Pence now because of January 6th, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But people didn't like Mike Pence, and people were saying, I hope they don't impeach Trump because then we'll have a real conservative. They didn't like Mike Pence, and Mike Pence is closer, like his values, at least what he says, out in the open or whatever, from what I can see, that's more aligned with who I am. I have more in common with him than I do with Trump. But I do know that Trump wants to protect religious liberty and all the other stuff, and he's not crazy like Biden is, or isn't as far left and radical with Hillary Clinton supporting partial birth abortion on the debate stage. So it's like, should I vote for someone who's going to come at me, or should I vote for someone who's imperfect, who's going to at least support and vote the way that I want them to vote? So the plan was so obvious that they wanted to punk us out of voting. And that's what this case is here. I wonder how long Daily Beast had this story. And if it's true, they certainly could have come out with this stuff in the primary, but they hope for this kind of stuff and to drop it, of course, in October to tank the opponent, right? To tank that person on that side. So there's Warnock is a no. Walker could always step down, or he could just have one term or something. Walker is a no. He's dangerous. Walker's a no. That's my opinion. Walker's a no. I'll move on. I want to show you this video from Stacey Abrams that the RNC cut of her. She said she went on The View and claimed she never denied losing in Georgia. Here we go.
I have never denied the outcome.
And I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won.
But I didn't lose. I got the votes. But we won't know exactly how many because of how they cheated.
I did win my election. I just didn't get to have the job. We were robbed of an election.
Using the word rigged, using the word steal, do you think it's dangerous going into 2020?
I don't, because we can actually back it up.
And so in response to what I believe was a stolen election, and I'm not saying they stole it from me, they stole it from the voters of Georgia.
I spent the interim 10 days between the election and my non-concession day, as we call it. In fact, someone outside asked if I'm ever going to concede. The answer is no. It was not a free and fair election. I think the election was stolen from the people of Georgia. I believe it was stolen from the voters. I just said it can't happen again. Thousands of Georgians had their voices stolen because they were not able to cast ballots, and they cannot be guaranteed that their votes will be counted in 2020 if we don't do this right. I said that the election was stolen from the Georgia voters.
If it looks like it's cheating, it probably is. If it looks like it's rigged, it probably is.
The process that took place during the legislative cycle was one that did not countenance and did not pay attention to the deep and real concerns of those who watched this election be stolen in the state of Georgia. It was stolen from the voters of Georgia. We do not know what they would have done because not every eligible Georgian was permitted to participate fully in the election.
Yeah, great video from the RNC. Great video from the RNC. Yeah, she totally denied it. So she's lagging in the polls, which is great because a lot of people were concerned if she ran again that she was going to run away with it, and that's not the case. So she's losing, and she's going to lose. I'm glad she's going to lose, and Kemp's voters will probably pull Herschel over the finish line. We'll see, but that was quite the October surprise. Quite the October surprise. Really quickly, Jacob Frey, he said the craziest thing about Minneapolis that I just want to share really quickly.
There are areas in the Twin Cities, in Minneapolis, where it is easier to buy a gun than a fresh apple. Now, why is that? Because there aren't gun shops in Minneapolis. You don't have a gun.
How is that possible? Just how is that possible? That doesn't make any sense. Y'all don't sell apples? They ain't doing no background checks. So what? They just mean it's illegal guns? People just selling them illegally or whatever? I don't. That sounds really like a you problem, and you need to clean up some crime, and that makes Keith Ellison look pretty bad, I think. It just makes everybody look bad that you can go to the gas station and buy an apple. I'm just gonna assume that that's not true. Because apples, I mean, inflation's bad. They're not that expensive. What is a wild leftist thing to say? What a wild thing to say. Lastly, I just want to mention very quickly, DeSantis, though the liberals really wanted, I don't know, this hurricane to be the next Katrina, he showed himself to be very competent. And there's a video, you can look it up. I'm not going to play it because there's like F-bombs, but there's a black guy who's like, I'm voting for DeSantis. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but we got gas. And they show like this truck that had the gas and stuff. He's like, I'm voting for DeSantis. So DeSantis is going to win his reelection very well. But people were noticing when Biden came to Florida that Ron DeSantis got to speak behind the presidential seal, and he looked pretty good.
And I think we've worked as well across state, local, and federal of any disaster that I've seen. And so I want to thank Administrator Criswell from FEMA for being on the ground, being supportive, and being very responsive. I think one of the things that you're seeing in this response, we are cutting through the bureaucracy. We are cutting through the red tape, and that's from local government, state government, all the way up to the president. So we appreciate the team effort.
So some people, I saw someone say, "Oh, DeSantis gets his talk while he has humble pie, and Biden rolls up his sleeves." I'm like, anything that makes DeSantis, as he's the governor, look good while handling such a huge storm that devastated so many people, it just makes him look good, especially for the future, for leadership and other sort of ways. So I do think it's good that obviously there's no butting of heads enough that the people had to suffer. So that's good that I don't know if they're saying all behind closed doors, but he's saying they were able to cut through the bureaucracy, and Biden said that he admitted that DeSantis is doing a good job.
Biden, I think he's doing a good job. Look, I called him. I think he before he called me when I heard about we work hand in glove. We have very different political philosophies, but we work hand in glove.
So I don't know how well you could hear that, but he said that he did a very good job, that they have different political philosophies, but they've been working hand in glove. So that's good on DeSantis. So that just makes him get another point on his road to announcing for president if he wants it, if he wants to run. And I think he's got. My guess is he's the most likely candidate going into 2024. So that's all that I have for you guys today. I gotta actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but this is a pre-recorded show. I got an interview I'm doing probably at the same time that you guys are watching this. As I'm trying to take down Prop 3 in Michigan. So make sure that you guys go to the website, blacktnews.com, check out different content that we have on the website. Please make sure that you're sharing stuff around. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Costs to stream, costs to do my website, costs to travel, costs to do all that kind of stuff. So I really would appreciate if you guys can help. I thank you guys for sharing. I thank you guys for liking, commenting, all that good stuff. Man, folks, I don't want to get into it again, but the whole Georgia thing, you gotta think about what's best for your family, best for your kids, best for the future, and demand better of your politicians, demand better of people who are running, and especially in the primaries, and just because people in Georgia love him, and he's a very charitable, very a likable guy to a lot of people, and he's obviously famous, doesn't mean that he was the right person for the job, but he's the person that's better than Warnock. So both men have some dirt on them, and again, he says it's not so, it's not true. I hope he can patch things up with his son, who is very hot about this. I'm gonna go look up some more stuff personally, see how Christian is doing. But yeah, that's some baby mama drama. Thank you guys for watching.